Welcome to another episode of the History of EPR. My name is Scott Benara. I'm your host. I'll be joined today by Russell Henderson again. Today we're going to do it a little different. It's actually not technically EPR, but it is an EPR horse that's very famous from the 70s. Probably one of the most famous horses from EPR. I have a different opinion on that, but that's just more personal. But anyway, so I'm going to bring Russell on right now, and we will start the podcast. Hey, Russell, how you doing today?
Very good, Scott. Thank you for having me back.
Oh, no, it's awesome. Your last one was really good. We got a lot of good feedback. Your inputs were awesome, so I figured come back on and we'll do something a little different today. It's technically the History of EPR, but like I said, it's different. We're going to talk about the Gold Cup and Saucer from 1976, which you have a lot of input on. I was negative 2 years old, so I have zero input on it.
Yeah,
I've watched the video and stuff that we're going to show later, and some really neat stuff on here. I think everyone's going to like it. We got some really cool pictures, some audios, a couple of videos. So yeah, it's going to be a lot of fun.
yeah. I think it was in many ways a watershed Gold Cup and Saucer, and we'll get into that maybe a little bit later on, Scott. But it definitely ties to Exhibition Park. I have some recollections of where EPR and obviously the eventual winner all tie together. So we'll see how it goes.
Definitely. So you want to give a little feedback, Russell, or a little story behind when it's like that day, the Gold Cup and Saucer Day?
Yeah, it was actually Friday the 13th, 45 years ago, and we'll come to see it was a very, very bizarre day. In things that I've written about that summer, it was the summer of speed is the phrase I use, and we're going to see that here in a little while because this being Gold Cup week right now, and everybody's been witnessing the crazy speed that's being taking place over in Charlottetown right now. Crazy speed was happening 45 years ago as well. It was unheard of, some of the things that took place during that week. And we have a couple. You have to put it in perspective. It was 45 years ago, but they were flying that week on the island as well. So
I actually watched the trial last night, and it was the flukiest thing because as people who know me, I'm a massive football fan. So my team was playing in San Francisco last night. My team's Kansas City, and by the way, I've been a fan since '95. I'm not just jumping on the bandwagon, but they were playing San Francisco in preseason. A buddy of mine was over, and he's a big San Francisco fan. So we're watching the game, and it's preseason, so not really look at it. I said, "Oh, I popped in my head the Gold Cup trials on." And I didn't know the time or whatever, so I went on YouTube. And I'm not joking. They were 1 minute to post. The timing was a miracle. And I threw it on. And my buddy, he's not really into horse racing. He loved it. He thought it was great. He was a big fan. So we're not going to really get into the whole politics behind COVID and stuff and the restrictions this year in PEI. Unfortunately, there is restrictions. I wish I could go because I've never been to the Gold Cup. I would love to go check it out sometime. And hopefully we can do it next year.
I've been to many, Scott, over the years, not as many recently, but everyone who likes harness racing has to somehow have it on their bucket list because it's a great experience and it's historical and it's traditional, and I'm gonna speak a little bit about that later on as well.
Yeah, definitely. So we're gonna start out here with an audio. Actually, I'll background the audio clips. I'm gonna tell people how I actually got this from Bruce Maxwell, another Bruce is really mellow guy, and he's like, "Yeah, I got these tapes." And Scotch Goman, Metal Lake Counter's on some. I'm like, and I love how Bruce is very casual, but I'm like, "What? Are you serious?" So I got them transferred over and stuff. So we're gonna start. Let's talk about the first one. You can go on about the first one, Russell, because you know more than I do.
Well, it's funny. It was deja vu for me when you and Bruce discovered these, Scott, because when I heard them, I realized that I actually heard them in real time in 1976. And I'll tell you the story about that when we get into the second one. But the first one is your grandfather's trotter, Madeline Candor, winning an invitational trot they had that week. And as we'll find out in a moment, she had a pretty impressive time.
Yeah.
But a little bit of backstory: Madeline Candor was just an absolute disaster to try to truck.
I heard this. Yeah.
She went completely crazy in many ways, kicked the whole way over. And in fact, it was so bad that on the way back, they had to get an old mattress to put into the truck to try to stop her from injuring herself or her traveling partner, Scotch Common, because of her behavior. And how she managed to have such a great race that week from not being tired out from her performance on the truck is amazing. But back then, you have to remember, it was no easy task trucking to Prince Edward Island. You had a long haul with waits at the ferry parking lot, windy, bumpy roads. Yeah. So it really points to the fact that horse racing is not an easy business, and trucking horses, even in today's modern world, is not an easy task as well. But they got her over. Her and Scotch Common got over. They raced. They performed well. And with the mattress in tow, they made it back without too many more bumps and bruises.
Yeah, and it was 76, so Scotch Common didn't get hurt too bad. He still won lots of races. So yeah. Okay, perfect. Well, I'm going to throw this on. Charlottetown PEI. What was the date again on this, Russell?
It was August 13th, Friday, 1976.
So this was Gold Cup night for this race.
It's Gold Cup day and night, yeah.
Okay, super. So yeah, and Ed Waters is doing announcing. So let's throw this on.
Yeah. Once again, the Trotters in the Charles Brooks Memorial for a purse of $1,000 are Madeline Candor, Miss Daily Double, Hal Dixie, Sudden Song, Count Cord, Miss Julie Oakes is on the outside. The trailers are Vidi Volo and Haphazard. Miss Daily Double is off stride leaving, heading into the first turn. Count Cord from the outside. Madeline Candor takes the early lead. Up between horses, Hal Dixie. Off stride on the turn is still number 2, Miss Daily Double. They go by the first 8 with Madeline Candor showing the way. Then up on the outside, Count Cord is 3 wide, taking second. Between horses, 3 is Hal Dixie. Then up on the inside, coming along to take over, Volo, Hal Dixie now 4. On the extreme outside is Miss Julie Oakes. They drive by the first quarter. The Trotters, 30 and 4. Let's see what the half is. Here they come off the turn. Madeline Candor has the lead. Here comes Miss Julie Oakes driving up hard on the outside as they come for the mile. Here for the half mile, it is still Madeline Candor. Miss Julie Oakes up on the outside is second. We've got a pretty good half mile. In the third by the half is Vidi Volo. Then Hal Dixie is parked 4th. Up on the inside 5 is Haphazard. Count Cord is 6. Sudden Song is 7. 102. And 4/5. The track trotting record is 206. They've got a shot at it. There they go off the 5/8 turn for the 3/4. It is Madeline Candor by 3/4 of a length. Miss Julie Oakes sits on the outside too. As they go by the 3/4, here comes Haphazard up on the outside now, looking to circle the field. There by the 3/4, the Trotters led by Madeline Candor. They move around the top turn, 1:35 and 3. We need a 30-second 4th quarter. We got it. Madeline Candor still off the top. Here they come off the turn. Madeline Candor shows the way. Now here comes Vidi Volo to the outside. It's still Madeline Candor with Vidi Volo, the challenger. As they drive on home, Madeline Candor wins it, going wire to wire. Vidi Volo is second. Hal Dixie on the outside is 3. Haphazard 4. Sudden Song, Miss Julie Oakes, Miss Daily Double, and Count Cord. We are going to have a mile of about 2:06 in the piece, I would say. I said the record is 2:06, and 2:08 they went. They didn't come that last quarter all that great.
So, yeah, that was pretty interesting.
Yeah, well, Ed Waters had said they didn't come the last quarter all that great, but they certainly went the first half pretty great, 1:02. That was a big mile for Trotters in 1976 on the old Charlottetown track, and again, it's just amazing to me that Madeline Candor was able to win that big trotting race for her after her performance, because I've talked to her groom, and she was some performance trucking over. Put on take that trophy for the trotting race home was great.
Yeah, that's I heard that story. Dave Snyder, actually, I think when I originally got these and put them up, he sent me a message on Facebook and told me the story about that. And I heard another thing. I think was it you that told me that she may have been in heat? That's why she was freaking out, or was it someone else?
Yeah, no, I'm not sure what the reason. I mean, I know it's hard to believe that a female would be cranky on a long road trip, but
that's you saying that, buddy. I'm not thinking.
No, everybody's saying cards and letters to Scott. He told me to say that.
Yeah, exactly. But yeah, that was really cool. And the part, like the next one, and we're gonna go over the horses in the next race.
Yeah,
and really cool to me because I've seen, like, once I started this page, well, I started with the just doing a few converting for Brian Foster, and then really got into it. It was all about getting Scotch Common stuff, and it's always been like that even before that. And I got the Alexander 74 and I got the 77 from Bruce, but I never got to hear his name ever been, like, it sounds weird, but ever called like at a race. I'd always because all of them had no audio. It was really cool hearing it. So we're going to go over some of the horses of the next race here, and I'll tell you them, and you kind of have a little feedback on them. The first one's Breakdown. Or is that the name of the first horse is Breakdown? Is that right?
No.
Oh, that's my bad. Double Command.
Double Command, yeah. Double Command was a medium class to upper class horse for Boyd McDonald. And he was in a little tough on this day, but he had just won a little bit earlier. He just won, I believe it was the New England Pace. Back in July during the 70s, Charlottetown would present 3 races, New England Pace, the Quebec Pace, and the Ontario Pace.
Right.
And anybody that had identification, tourists from those provinces would get free admission, and they would also be invited to present the cooler to the winning horse. So Double Command won the New England Pace that year and got an invitation to this $4,000 Friday afternoon event. That was just shortly after Boyd McDonald acquired the horse he was most famous for, that being Mastering. But on this day, he had Double Command in to go against the top guys.
So the next one is Royal Relate.
Yeah, Royal Relate was a nice, consistent horse that the Orville Willis drove. He raced many times in St. John and throughout the island, and the Willis family was big into the industry. They always had top horses, and Royal Relate, as we can see here in a minute, he put on quite a performance this day. He had just come off his biggest win of his career. He actually was an upset winner in the Governor's Plate a few weeks earlier. So good for him. A nice, consistent horse, and does very well on this afternoon as well.
So the next horse, Scotch Garmin. We don't need a whole lot of feedback. We all know who Scotch Garmin is.
Yeah, Scotch Garmin had a bit of a tough week, as we said earlier, but. And he had a tough post position in this race, but he always put on a good show, and this was no different on this day, Scott.
Charlie Sparks?
Charlie Sparks, yes. Yeah. Charlie Sparks was owned and trained and driven by a good friend of mine, Daryl Pierce. And he raced in the top class in St. John and traveled to the island for this year. And Daryl did very well with him, and just a very, very handsome individual. I can still see him in his decked all out in his red and white colors, and just a pleasure to watch. Oh, I'm referring to Charlie Sparks, not to Daryl Pierce, though. He's when I say real good looking, Charlie Sparks was extremely handsome. Daryl Pierce, not so much. But anyway,
the next one is Adios Amigo.
Adios Amigo. He's the one that triggered my memory of this day. He was from Flamborough, I believe, and there was 3 horses brought down by these folks from Flamborough, and Adios Amigo was one of them, and he had a great race on this day as well. So,
and the next one's Analyzer.
Analyzer, always a top class horse, didn't get invited to the Gold Cup and Saucer, and we'll talk about it after the race. But he, as usual, was always there throughout the mid 70s when it came to invitational races. So,
and the last one is Amberjack.
Yeah, totally unheard of what Amberjack accomplished this week, or that week, I should say. He set a new maritime record for 2-year-olds, winning earlier in the year in 2, 3, and 3. And I think we'll probably see that picture after the race, Scott. And, for a 2-year-old to go through the classes the way he did, and now to be racing the top class, that's just totally unheard of in 1976. But that's what the Webbies were known for, developing horses at a young age and going right through the classes. And that's why I refer to this season as the Summer of Speed, because what Amberjack accomplished is just absolutely mind-boggling.
Yeah, definitely. All right, so we're going to start with this one. This is also August 13th, 76, the afternoon race, the $4,000 Invitational.
Yeah, before we play it, I want to maybe give a little background on how I was able to hear it.
Yeah, go ahead.
Back then, the most popular place around Exhibition Park, one of the more popular places, was Dot's Diner, Dot's Lunch, right across the street from the stable area.
Yeah.
So everybody would go over there to get their food and take a little break from working on the horses. So on this particular day, I was over there and a group of other people, and the owner, Doug Hatfield, and his wife, Dot Hatfield, ran the restaurant, had a shortwave radio, and he was trying to tune in the races from Charlottetown because they would play them on the radio back then.
Yeah.
And lo and behold, I arrived just in time as he was trying to tune in this race that we're about to hear.
Oh,
so not just myself, but a whole gathering of people. Word had spread, and everybody came over to the restaurant to have a bite and also to try to hear this big race, because Scotch Garman was in it, Charlie Sparks was in it, all from Exhibition Park. And Doug was having a tough time, something like you and I today, Scott, trying to get the technology to work.
Exactly. Yeah.
And he's fiddling around, and it's a bit staticky, and it's kind of coming in and kind of coming out. And all of a sudden, there's this ungodly noise in the background, and everybody turns around, and it's my foolish brother munching on 5 hot dogs and a big plate of French fries. and he's making more noise than a pack of hyenas with a wildebeest carcass. So everybody's yelling at him to shut the hell up as we're trying to tune in this race. But Doug was able to tune in this race. I heard it in real time. And when you folks discovered it not too long ago, it really triggered a memory in my life, Scott. So it's all great.
Thank you. Yeah, that's awesome. Yeah, perfect. So let's go ahead and we'll put that on. It's hit Friday afternoon, August 13th, 76, and it's a $4,000 invitation. Was there a name for this race specifically, or just a $4,000 invitation?
I don't know if it was probably sponsored by somebody, but that was a good purse, $4,000 for the horses that didn't get invited to the Gold Cup a few hours later.
Definitely. All right, so here it is.
Through the stretch now are the starters in race number 9, the $4,000 Invitational. It's Royal Relate, Analyzer, Double Command, Adios, Amigo, Amberjack, Charlie Sparks, and Scotch Garman. Into the first turn, Royal Relate gets out quickly for the early lead. From the outside, Charlie Sparks driving hard is up for second. Then Adios Amigo is placed 3 around the first turn. Double Command 4. Analyzer is 5. 6 off the turn is Scotch Garman. And the trailing is the 2-year-old Amberjack. To the first quarter they go with Royal Relate showing the way. Charlie Sparks sits on the outside 2. Adios Amigo is 3. They're by the first quarter, led by Royal Relate. Into the upper turn now, first time around, Charlie Sparks gets the spot 2, 29 2/5 down to the first quarter as they come off the top turn. It's Royal Relate by 2. Charlie Sparks is second. Adios Amigo 3. Coming to the half-mile, racing in for Double Command. Then Analyzer 5. Here comes Scotch Common on the outside. As they drive by the halfway mark, it's Royal Relate stretching with the lead. Here comes Analyzer up on the outside. Charlie Sparks still second. Now Adios Amigo goes wide in 3. 1 minute to the half-mile, cut out by Royal Relate. As they move off the turn now, who's got the last half? Royal Relate coming down the back stretch. Here's Adios Amigo now on the outside to beat 2. Here's Analyzer. The backfield starts showing motion. Royal Relate holds the lead. A good lead by the three-quarters. But Adios Amigo and Analyzer are coming on strong. As they drive by the three-quarters, it's still Royal Relate. Adios Amigo. Around the top turn they go. It's Adios Amigo now second and coming on. As they move around the turn, 130 and 1/5. Here they come, 4 wide off the turn. Royal Relate, Adios Amigo, Analyzer, and on the outside, Amberjack. Analyzer and Adios Amigo. Here comes Amberjack. And Analyzer. Here they are. It's going to be Analyzer. Amberjack second, Adios Amigo 3. Scotch Common 4, Royal Relate 5. Double Command 6. Charlie Sparks is 7. Tremendous race. We'll wait for the posting of the time. I think we're going to be awful close to a new track record here. Depends how they came that last quarter. They look to be struggling a bit through the lane. It's going to be 2. It's not posted as yet. 2:02 and 3. We've got a new track pacing record. 2:02 and 3/5. And it's Analyzer breaking his own mark of 2:02 and 4. How about that? And listen to the crowd. That's race number 9 from the CDP. This is Ed Waters.
That was one hell of a call.
That was a great race call, and again, I can distinctly remember being gathered around this shortwave radio, Doug Hatfields, with a whole bunch of other people, and listening to that call. So it was a great call.
Yeah.
If you want to put up the picture of Amberjack, maybe, and I'll
find it here. There we are.
Yeah. I think that's him winning in his maritime record of 2:03 and 3, and I think it was about 3 days earlier he took that record on Charlottetown, and then come back and raced this Invitational. They, there was no rest for the weary, but he just amazing what he accomplished as a 2-year-old, and some people might think, well, maybe he faded off a little bit, after he started to race the top class horses. Well, actually, about a week later, he won the Crookshank Memorial in Halifax.
There you go.
The top class. So, and we talked about Amberjack, I think, on episode 1 a little bit, Scott.
Yeah, because he's in the Francis, or not? Sorry, Alexander. Yeah. He's in the Alexander. Yeah.
He was, and this horse was penciled in for greatness, and unfortunately, it sounds like health problems started to catch up with him in later years. But setting records as a 2-year-old is what he did in 1976.
And you wanted to go Analyzer also. There's Analyzer.
Yeah, that's a great picture of Analyzer. And we should take a moment and thank all the people that have been supplying these pictures. I know this one came to me from Jerry McCabe, our wonderful maritime historian. And I know that Scott Green has put up some of the pictures we're going to see today. Yep. And Mike Ellsworth with his help with the video. So
yeah, Mike's awesome.
There's so many people out there that have these, and they're supplying them, and we're able to gather them up and hopefully use them in a positive way, Scott. So when we put that picture of Analyzer back up, I'll just give you a little tidbit on him too. He was having a tough year, but he had just won, or he sort of won, a big race in Woodstock with all the top horses, and he got disqualified for breaking a break in stride at the wire. Well, that's all great, and the race was awarded to Mr. Suffolk, a horse from Maine, But the only problem was, not only did Joe Gogan think he broke after the wire, so did all the other drivers in the race and most of the fans that were in attendance. So they didn't have video in Woodstock. All they had to go by was the photo finish or, at the wire. But you couldn't tell if Analyzer was on the run. And everybody swears to this day that he broke stride after the wire and had that invitational taken away from him. So, I talk a lot about the racing gods, and the racing gods maybe made up for it for Analyzer to win this invitational here. But the other strange thing about Analyzer is in 1974, he didn't get invited to the Gold Cup and Saucer, and he went out that afternoon and set the track record. And in 1976, he didn't get invited to the Gold Cup and Saucer, and he went out and set the track record. So maybe that horse, had something to prove on those 2 years. So good for Analyzer, one of the top horses of the era, and that was a great picture that we just saw of him there, Scott.
Yes, definitely. So where we're going to go, we were kind of just going to go with the 2 audio and then the Gold Cup, but I actually found Radiant Butler's race from that same night.
Yeah.
Which, when I was, and again, I want to give a huge thanks to Mike Ellsworth. I couldn't thank that guy enough. He's done so much for me. And I'll go real quick on it, but I got to bring it up. When I first started doing this, and I did it for Brian Foster, just as like a side thing, like, hey, I got a couple tapes, I want to get converted. I literally had no clue what I was doing. Not a clue in the world. Mike Ellsworth, the most patient human being on the planet, sat with me on Facebook for probably over an hour and a half, walking me through how to actually do it. And then anything, if I have questions, I can go to Mike, and he's great, like just a real good guy. His site, by the way, Maritime Classics, anyone that hasn't looked at it, check it out, because you're going to find some really awesome stuff on there. He does a lot, and just a real good guy. Like, I can't say enough good things about Mike. And again, just providing these videos, I messaged him, and he's like, yeah, sure, go on and grab them. And he had to like do a little editing so I can get in there and get them. Real good guy, and appreciate everything he does for us, especially this right here, letting us use these videos and stuff, right? And same for Jerry McCabe. Like, he's awesome. He sent me some stuff. Like, everyone's real like good. And it's really cool because, in the world we live in with like Twitter and stuff, a lot of people are really negative. I mean, I've never experienced anything negative doing this. Everyone's real friendly, helpful, and we give each other everything. Like, if I got stuff, I'll give it to Jerry. I've cut some programs, give them to Jerry. Same with Mike. It's give and take for everybody, right? It's really cool. So
it absolutely is, and there's a longing for nostalgia, I believe, anyway. And at least I hope we're right. Otherwise, nobody will be watching this. So.
No, I think we did real good in the first one. People liked it, so definitely. So, did you want me to throw the picture of Radiant Butler first, or the race?
No, we'll watch the race and then bring a couple of pictures up, and I'll talk about Radiant Butler a little bit after that, if that's okay.
Yeah, no, that's great. So we're gonna bring this is Radiant Butler, the same night as the Gold Cup. I want to think it's 2 races before the Gold Cup.
Yeah, 2 races before, and he never, and the Webbies never got an invitation to the Gold Cup and Saucer. Amberjack was in the afternoon feature. Baron Bogan didn't get an invitation, and they ordered Radiant Butler. But one thing about those Webbies, they're relentless, and we're going to see it here in a second with Radiant Butler.
Definitely. All right, here's the video.
310 and 310. 3.5 lengths back was K. Breton Doug, $3.10 and $3. And finishing third was Rainbow Time at $3.90. The 6-1 feature paid $15.50. Then it came Jester J. 5 was Percussion, the trotter, and Solar Eden with My Samson 7.
So I'm going to hop in here and say there's no sound to this. So unfortunately, I should have realized that. And I actually can't unmute Russell. So let's let everybody know, no sound, but you're seeing it. And we'll talk about it once the race is over. And so I totally forgot I had no sound until I'm watching. Why am I not hearing anything? Like, wait a second. There's no
they
sound.
had a little bit of sound at the first, I think, with giving the results. So
Yeah.
But yeah, no, that's Radiant Butler, and I think we have a picture of him coming up here, don't we, Scott?
Yes, we do. Let me go grab it. Here we are.
First one.
There you go.
Yeah. So that's him winning that invitational in equal track record, 2, 2, and 3. A few hours after Analyzer did it. So the Webby's got the revenge now. And speaking about that horse scared the hell out of me.
Oh yeah, what happened?
Well, I never met the horse except if I'd be leaning over the fence, he'd come storming by at about 100 miles an hour. He was, and I'd be getting off the fence in a hurry. He was just, he kind of reminds you to me anyway of one of those horses in a rodeo, the ones behind the fence waiting for the door to open and all chomping and everything. And that's the way Radiant Butler was. And he, they just let him roll down the highway whenever he was racing because he was really headstrong and I think hard to control. So, but that was one of his wins. And then I think we have a second picture, and I'll talk about the second picture of him.
Let's find it. I do not think that I do, actually. I do not. Let me just go grab it here from you.
Okay.
Let's just see here. Give me a quick second here.
Sure.
You had a story about that day, I think. We were talking before about it.
Well, what I was going to say about Radiant Butler is in the other big win that I remember of his in 1979. There was a Saturday afternoon race, and it turned out to be, as they would say, a brouhaha. And Boyd Tremere driver Metastar went to the front and decided to park Radiant Butler. And meanwhile, Marcel Berrio and Adesta Fidelis filled the hole, and they went ridiculous traction, half and 59 and a bit. And by the time they got to the 3/4 pole, Metastar was still leading. Radiant Butler was still parked on the outside, and Adesta Fidelis was looking for room third. And then Skipper's Point and Mike Campbell joined them. So by the time they come off the top of the stretch, the four of them were 4 across the track and wound up in a 4-horse photo for win.
Wow.
With Radiant Butler winning after being parked the whole way. And the interesting thing about that story is a fella from, I think it was from Fredericton, wrote a letter to the editor praising the horses and the drivers for putting on a race in the purest form, is the words he used, of harness racing. And he was right. To have there was no favors being given. It was every man for himself. And
I have that picture now, by the way. When you're ready, I have that picture for you too.
Oh yeah, go ahead and put it up.
Yep. So there we are. There it is.
Yeah, that's I believe that day, because it's Radiant Butler and Robert Laffin, and for that horse to be parked the whole way, and in the letter to the editor, it was pointed out he probably used him about 5 times to win that race, but a great Webby horse, even though he was bonkers in my mind. Yeah. I give full credit to Wayne Webby, and I think Emmons McKay, and definitely Everett Matthews, and then late in his career Robert Laffin, for sitting behind that horse. Because I can tell you who wouldn't be sitting behind that horse.
Yeah, no, definitely. And I look at that, I see all them 70s stuff, and as everyone's really aware, I'm constantly begging for 1970s videos. And maybe we get lucky once in a while. And I want to bring something up before we get to the Gold Cup, because it's amusing. And this isn't in an angry way. I find it funny. I don't know if you've seen on the EPR page, the Facebook one, I put up a pool because I got about 45 tapes from EPR last week. Brian Foster. It was funny because I was down at EPR, just watching the race with a buddy of mine, and Brian yells down, "Go get a garbage bag." And I'm like, that's awful strange. I go up to the top, and he hands me a garbage bag full of tapes. So I bring them home, and the thing is, there are a lot of like mid-2000s and 2010s, but I have some stuff from the 90s, right? So I put up a little pool asking people, what would you like to see more? 2003, 2000, da da da. Well, someone made their own pool and put 1970 to 1980, and everyone voted on that era. I'll just say, listen, 100%. I would love to see 1970 to 1980. These tapes don't exist. If they do, they're hiding on me because I have searched up and down. I have gone through ATV, CTV, like everything I can think of. But I'm always hunting, and there's always, we never know. We might get lucky and find something because it's just stuff appears. It's really weird how I find things. I just find things.
Yeah, no, you just never know what's out there in 8mm or whatnot, Scott. Because I'm very impressed with what you and others have been able to find in the first place. So that's very encouraging for sure.
It's a fun hobby. I'll admit that. So let's get started with the Gold Cup. So we're gonna put up the as you call the mug shots.
Yeah. This was done throughout the 1970s. They would take the pictures of the Gold Cup starters and publish them in the Guardian newspaper, and it was a nice touch. It really was. So we have pictures of them all there, and I just remember somebody having a newspaper and looking at them, and they always have their picture of them with their head tilted to the left or to the right usually.
Yeah,
and somebody made the point that it looked like they all were getting in line for their mug shots, and then somebody else would say, "Well, why don't they have the drivers? They're the real criminals. They're the ones that should have the mug shots." But no, that was a nice touch to have the horses pictures in before the running of the race, and I wish the quality was a little better on that one I was able to find, but
still not bad,
Oh yeah, it's not bad. No,
all newspaper.
Looking
at it, right? I know they did a little bit of that for Provincial Cup. I think it was when I was doing the archives for different EPR archives. I found something along them lines is more with the drivers actually holding the horse and stuff like that. Yeah. So that's very cool. Yeah. So the next thing we're going to bring up is the actual program of the day. Of the race, and we have pictures of each horse that we'll go over. Russell will talk about them. But I'm a big program guy. I love when I get programs, like they're a big deal to me. Very cool. I scan a lot of programs. Some programs are really hard to scan. They've never been used. Like God bless Twyla and Steve Mahar, some of the nicest people in the world. I think they just got the program and kept them in a box because scanning their programs are really hard. People who looked at their programs like 100 times, it's easy. But anyway, that's the program for the Gold Cup race. And we're going to go through each horse individually. Vintal Rainbow, is that correct?
Vintal Rainbow. And I think you have just an amazing picture of him.
That is a very nice picture, yes.
Isn't that something? What a good-looking horse he was. And he's being held by Mike McDonald and one of the Gold Cup ambassadors in the center field. Mm-hmm. And I don't know if this was 1976 or 1977, but that was supplied to me from Jerry McCabe, and again, class horse, and was in a way very famous for the Gold Cup in Saucer because he competed in it 4 times.
Okay,
so that's quite an accomplishment. I just love that picture.
It is very nice. I remember seeing this. I forget where. I think someone might have posted it somewhere. It's a very nice picture. Yeah, very nice. Very nice.
He had raced very well in the Alexander Memorial a month earlier and just got beat by Scotch Common. Mm-hmm. And he struggled a little bit, and he had a bit of a tough go on this night. But again, class horse and a Gold Cup, a great Gold Cup ambassador for sure.
Definitely. And number 2 is Power Baron, which everyone knows what Power Baron is. Power Baron, I think I was born. I probably knew who Power Baron was when I was like 2. I knew who Power Baron was before, like Power Baron and Scotch Common. They were 2 horses I knew as a kid. And I always hear the stories from my grandfather, and I'd ask stories like they would, that's, you can tell a little bit about Power Baron. Pretty much everyone knows, but go ahead if you got anything.
Well, in my writing, I describe him as one of the best known maritime athletes. And I don't mean horses, I mean athletes, because his name was probably more well known than other maritime athletes, believe it or not, back in the 1970s. So, his record goes on, and And again, it gets more enhanced after what happens here in a little while.
Yeah. And I'll say a funny thing with Power Baron on my end, because when I started getting tapes, I was like getting an 80s stuff, right? Well, then Steve and Twyla gave me a trunk full of tapes, and I was going through, I was recording, I think it would have been the summer of 83. And I'm just recording it, and I'm in my kitchen cooking, and I have the sound on, and I hear Power Baron, and I'm like, what? Because then I read about it, and I guess Mike Doyle was saying that he was not the easiest horse in the barns after he retired. They had to get him back on the track because he was a little wild in there.
Yeah, he was all stud, and I would saunter through his barn once in a while, but I never got too close to him. He was rambunctious for sure. So it doesn't surprise me at all. Yeah.
Yeah, there you go. So number 3, we got Ranger Bill. Bring that up right there.
Isn't that a great picture? That's from Jerry McCabe as well. And that's 1977 Gold Cup and Saucer. Mm-hmm. And as you can see, it was quite a muddy track. And but there he is. And remember I talked, I think the first episode, Scott, that Ranger Bill had a terrible record at EPR.
Yeah.
But it was the opposite in Charlottetown. He loved that track. He had a great race here in a few moments, and he also resurrected his career in Charlottetown in 1980 by winning a Gold Cup trial.
Okay.
And that was late in his career. So Ranger Bill, again, an icon of maritime racing, didn't like EPR, but loved Charlottetown and loved Sackville because he had just set the track record at Sackville of 2:01.4 a few weeks earlier. So he was in fine form. Yeah, he was in fine form coming into this race, as we will see.
I have a question for you regarding the trial. When did they start doing trials for the Gold Cup?
I think it was around 1980, and I'm going to speak about that at the end because.
Okay, we are back. Sorry about that. That was my computer decided it didn't want to work, so it just stopped working. Are you still there?
I'm still here, so we're going to have to call in a Hollywood editor to make this look right, are we? Or what?
I'll edit it up. It's all good. So you were talking about King Mike before I randomly got cut off there. Go ahead.
Oh, okay. I'm not sure what I said, but you'll edit it together. I just top class horse, Winston Campbell from Halifax. Had a great season in 1976, was in many invitationals, did very, very well. And I actually did meet this horse face to face. He had come to Exhibition Park in late winter of 76. And actually Winston Campbell and Russell Burgoyne brought a few horses up. And that wasn't very common back then. We always had the folks from the island bringing their horses over to race at Exhibition Park, but it was rare for people from Halifax to bring their horses. And what it showed me and many others was how good a drivers and how great a horseman were out there, not just around Exhibition Park and Prince Edward Island. Yeah. And I wasn't really familiar with that at all, but we learned pretty fast. I did meet King Mike. I snuck in the barn one day and gave him a quick pat on the head. And so I can honestly say that I did meet King Mike. As far as Russell Burgoyne, he raced a little bit longer here, I think for about 2 or 3 months. Mm-hmm. And his statistics were unheard of. He finished first, second, and third. He brought some moderate horses with him. And I think he was first, second, and third in every race he drove in. So it was quite apparent to me that he was some kind of driver and horseman as well. And a real distinguished first name too. So
nice. Okay. So let's go. Go ahead. What was that, Russell? Oh, you're cutting it a little bit on me there.
Yeah, no.
There you are. You're better now.
I'm still here, yeah. Anyway, he and Winston Campbell were here, and King Mike had a great season and made it to the Gold Cup and Saucer for 1976. So
the next horse, I am not going to even try and pronounce this horse's name because I know Jack Brown's driving him. What's the name of the horse there, Russell?
No, that's actually Jack Brown is holding him. That's one of the owners, and the horse is Glen Toien. And he was driven mostly by Jody Hennessy, but he also, I think, had Albert Bernard won a race over in Exhibition Park with him as well. Big New Zealander, big horse. Was having a great summer. He had won the Quebec pace earlier in the season, and raced in the Walder races, and had a good finish in this edition of the Gold Cup as well.
So the next one, Glowing Waveview, is that right?
Yeah, Glowing Waveview, and that's I think it's Alex is the caretaker that's holding him there.
Mm-hmm.
And what a pretty horse he was. Chestnut horse from the Phil Pinckney stable.
Yeah.
And I actually remember him from a year earlier as a 3-year-old. He made it over to Exhibition Park for the Beatrice Wilson Memorial. And the local favorite was Ray Bell's Best with Jackie Bernard. Mm-hmm. And the odds favorite was Glowing Waveview with Phil Pinckney. Now, here's the thing. It was double heat, and there was 12 3-year-olds in the first heat, and Glowing Waveview drew the 12 hole. Now, you can't imagine 12 3-year-olds going into the first turn at Exhibition Park, but somehow or another, Phil Pinckney maneuvered that little chestnut through all those horses and went on to win the first heat in 2-7. And then he came back in the second heat, and there was a couple of scratches, which it wasn't much of a surprise. Yeah. And didn't Phil Pinckney again find some way to maneuver him, because he had the 10 hole. He was still in the back tier, and he maneuvered his way through all that traffic, won both heats, won almost $11,000 in purse money for Glowing Waveview. And that was my first introduction to him. But I was just going to say, he was just a sweetheart of a horse. And he was coming off a great season as a 4-year-old, and he had just set the track record at Burl of 2:02 and 4. So coming into the race in fine form, and he had, as they say, the master driving him and training him, that being Phil Pinckney. So,
I could even imagine 12 horses going into that first turn. That first turn scares me with like 4 horses. I can imagine 12 of them going in.
Yeah, it's really, Glowing Waveview and Ray Bell's Best, who David Butler finished second in the final, and Ray Bell's Best was third. Mm-hmm. But to maneuver through 12 horses, you have to be a good driver and have a good horse. And obviously that was the case on Beatrice Wilson Day in 1975.
So the last horse is Sunny Meadows.
Oh, yeah. Another one of my personal favorites, Scott. Mm-hmm. Beautiful chestnut with a dark chestnut with a little bit of strawberry roan through him. Pretty as a picture, as you can see here. Mm-hmm. And again, he raced the entire decade at a high level. And I think he may have raced to 14 years old. Maybe somebody out there will let us know. And I think he retired from racing up in Sydney, but he raced the entire decade at extremely competitive horse. But he was also known for something else. I've had many reports, or many people have told me that he was one of the most dangerous horses around.
Really?
He would kick and bite, and you would never get within 10 feet of this horse. But having said that, our good friend Jerry McCabe, when I was chatting about Sunny Meadows one day with him, he informed me that he used to groom Sunny Meadows, and he thought that the reputation Sunny Meadows had was highly exaggerated. He said he would go in the stall with him, and the horse wouldn't give him any trouble at all. So, in thinking about it, I think I solved that mystery. I think that Sunny Meadows was at times a dangerous horse, but when Jerry McCabe entered the stall to start grooming him, Sunny Meadows would look over and say, "Oh, I can't hurt this guy. He's just too much a guy. So I'm not gonna screw with him." And he would let Jerry McCabe do his grooming duties because again, it's been reported that Sunny Meadows injured some people over his career. So hopefully somebody will fill us in on that.
I find some of these horses, like some of these really high-end horses, they're just really, I think the aggressiveness comes. That's why they're so good. They're really aggressive, right? And they race so well. All right, so we've gone through the starters. We're going to bring up the video. I know everybody know in the video. The end of the video.
Just maybe bring up the program one more time. I just wanted to point something out.
Yeah,
about one of the controversies that took place.
Go ahead.
Shortly before when the draw came out, there was a large contingent of folks that were demanding that 3 of the horses be removed from the race, and that being Power Baron, King Mike, and Almondale Clansman. And the reason is they found their names very offensive.
Here we go.
Power Baron and King Mike implied an imperialistic society, and that Almondale Clansman had racial undertones.
I can see that part. I can see the last one. I won't lie about that one. That's understandable. Yeah. The last one.
Well, yeah, it's not spelled that way, but anyway, there was a lot of debate and a lot of negotiations, and in the end, they allowed Power Baron and King Mike to race, but Almondale Clansman was removed from the race.
So let me ask you about that, because we live in a world now where some of the things are reasonable, but other things are just ridiculous that people complain about. I feel like people just complain to complain. These people that are doing this, are these people that are involved in racing, or just random people in the area who just want to complain to complain?
Well, actually, Scott, I just made that whole segment up. That never happened.
Well, I don't know. It sounds reasonable in 2021.
No, I was just kidding with you. No, 1976 was crazy, but it wasn't 2021 crazy.
Yeah.
So no, there was no contingent. Actually, Almondale Clansman, I think, was scratched because he got injured in warm-ups.
Yeah.
But I was just kind of illustrating the point of how crazy the world is now, that there would be a group of people who would want those horses removed from the race.
I believe it 100%. I'll admit it, because we live in a world now where I'm not gonna get into that, but we know how it goes, and that sounds very realistic that could happen. I thought the 70s. I couldn't see that happen in the 70s.
No, that's the contrast I was just trying to make there, Scott. That in 1976, people still enjoyed racing and weren't offended by every little thing. So
Twitter, that's why.
That's right.
Totally different. So, but that was good. You got me there. So we're gonna go through it here of the race. We're gonna throw it on now. Again, the end of the race, it cuts it, but they do put the radio broadcast on. They just don't show the video. It just shows Power Baron at the end. So we're gonna throw it on. Power Baron, Gold Cup and Saucer, August 13th, 1976. Ed Waters on audio.
The Evening Patriot Gold Cup and Saucer number 17 is moving around the top turn. We have Ventall Rainbow, Power Baron, Ranger Bill, King Mike, Glentohe, and Glowing Waveview up front. The trailer is Sunny Meadows, and here they are. They're off with Power Baron out quickly on the inside. Ranger Bill looking to get placed on the inside. Ventall Rainbow is 3. Now King Mike takes 3 on the outside. Ventall Rainbow is 4. Sunny Meadows is 5. Glowing Waveview is parked 6. And trailing off the turn is Glentohe. Power Baron goes off the top to the quarter, leading by a length and a half, with Ranger Bill driving in 2. King Mike now gets the breather 3. Glowing Waveview is still parked 4 by the quarter, now 3. Ventall Rainbow is 5, 4, the 3/8. Sunny Meadows is 6, and Glentohe trailing. They move around the top turn, 30 1/5 down to the quarter. Glowing Waveview is now up second and challenging Power Baron as they turn for the half mile. It's Power Baron on the inside. Glowing Waveview is second. Ranger Bill right up in there is 3. 4 to the half mile is King Mike. 5 by the half is Ventall Rainbow. Glentohe to the outside, 6, and Sunny Meadows 7 along the rail. As they go by the half, heading for the 5/8, it's still Power Baron. 1 minute and 3/5 to the half mile. It's Power Baron showing the way by 2. Ranger Bill sits in second. Here comes the backfield, Glentohe and Ventall Rainbow and Sunny Meadows. It's still Power Baron by 3 over Ranger Bill. Ventall Rainbow on the move. Glentowian looks to be sharp 4 on the outside. They move around the top turn now. Power Baron by 4. 1:31 at the 3/4. Power Baron by 4 and Ranger Bill second. Here comes Ranger Bill now, catching up as they come off the turn. It's Power Baron and Ranger Bill as they drive on home. Power Baron and Ranger Bill. How about Power Baron? Right on. Power Baron, Ranger Bill, Glentowian is 3, Sunny Meadows 4, Glowing Wayview is 5, Ventall Rainbow is 6, and King Mike is 7. And let's see what the last quarter is. If it's in 30 seconds, we've got a new track record. They haven't posted it as yet, but what a race. Power Baron, he is something else. He cut out his own fractions, and let's see how we wait for the time to be posted. 2:01 and 4/5. Again, the track record has been broken. Power Baron, what a horse. 2:01 and 4. This has been some day. 2:01 and 4, Power Baron. 2:02 and 4, Mystery Blaze. 2:02 and 3 for Radiant Butler. 2:02 and 3 for Analyzer. So that is the Gold Cup and Saucer. Power Baron winning it here, cutting out his own fractions, coming the last half in 1:01 to win in 2:01 and 4. From the CDP, this is Ed Waters.
That was pretty awesome.
Yeah. Well, Ed Waters had it right. It was the summer and the week of speed, wasn't it? With those track records. Three track records in 7 hours. But yeah, I do want to mention that there was a controversy involved in Power Baron that week, Scott, and I'm serious about this.
Are you being serious? You're being serious now? You're not just playing?
No. I am being serious about this. So, remember we talked earlier about when Gold Cup trials started, and the race classifier for Charlottetown. They had an impossible task because you had many horses. This race was growing in stature every year. Mm-hmm. So more and more maritime owners and trainers and drivers wanted a chance to get their name on that cup. Well, unfortunately, not everybody can get their name on that cup. And I know you're a big football fan, and you can think of many quarterbacks and running backs that never got to the Super Bowl.
Yep.
And that's just the way it is in when it comes to great athletes not getting, to have that prestige or whatnot. So that week, the race organizers and classifiers wanted Mike Doyle to bring Power Baron over earlier in the week, as many of the other invitational horses came over earlier in the week to race in various races so they could assemble their 8 starters. Well, Mike refused because he had a schedule for Power Baron and he wasn't going to deviate from it. Well, because of that, the racetrack organizers decided that he wasn't going to be invited to the Gold Cup and Saucer. He was going to get an invitation to the $4,000 event we just listened to earlier that Analyzer wanted. And I don't know who would have replaced Power Baron in that race, but that was what was going to happen. Well, the rumor is, and I believe this rumor to be true, that when this was decided, Mike McDonald, the driver and trainer of Ventall Rainbow, went to the organizers and the classifiers and said, "You folks, you really can't do this. You can't have the biggest race in the Atlantic Canada and not have the greatest horse in Atlantic Canada as part of it." Mm-hmm. And Mike, if this is true, and I believe it to be true, Mike was thinking of the greater good. Obviously, with Power Baron in the race, it was going to, take away his chances of repeating with Ventall Rainbow. But in the end, common sense prevailed. Power Baron was granted an entry into the Gold Cup and Saucer, and because of that, he has his name on that trophy. And I believe, and so will many others, that trophy, it just wouldn't have maybe the same mystique if Power Baron's name wasn't on it, if Stall's Pride's name wasn't on it, if Winner's Accolade, your favorite horse, if his name wasn't on it, Scott. then it would tarnish it just a little bit.
Yeah.
But in the end, Power Baron made it to the island, and Mike McDonald did the honorable and the sportsmanlike thing to make sure that happened. And yeah, it's disappointing for the other people that didn't get an invite. And that's why I believe a couple of years later, they went to a trial format to give everybody an opportunity to make it in, because when you're trying to pick 8 horses out of 15 or 20 deserving candidates, you're going to hurt somebody's feelings, and that's not a great situation to be in. But if you want to flash up the final picture,
so the winner circle picture of Power Baron.
Yeah, what a great picture that is!
Yeah, real nice,
great color picture. I'm not sure all the people that are in it, but I can tell you the person holding the horse is Lauren Flowers, a friend of ours. And Lauren took care of Power Baron on many of his biggest races, and he had a horse with Mike Doyle himself called Just As Well Baron, but Just As Well Baron wasn't quite as good as Power Baron, but Lauren was always there as a right hand man for Mike, and I would really like to see if I could talk Lauren into it, Scott, of having him come on and do a podcast with you, because Lauren has more stories than the Empire State Building.
Yeah, definitely.
And he's a 100 times better storyteller than I am. And he could tell you some great stories, some great background stories about Power Baron. But in the end, Power Baron got his victory in the Gold Cup and Saucer, deservedly so. And I think it's a great thing this week during Gold Cup week that we get to revisit quite possibly the most famous horse in maritime racing history.
And I have right here a picture of the trophy that was given to me for Christmas by my mother, and that's Scott Scottman's trophy of 1974.
Yeah,
pretty. That's up in my living room on a little mantle, which is really cool. Along with, I've got some other trophy. Actually, I have a Power Baron trophy when he won I think it's the Monctonian and the Horse of the Year from -- I can't remember. I have it up in the office. But I want to flash that Gold Cup trophy up really quick because that's very cool.
There's when I do my writing, I've written about there's hundreds of horses that maybe deserve to get their name on that trophy, and just fate wasn't there. But the fact that the Power Baron is there, it's justifiably so, and it's again part of the mystique. And one of the reasons that the Gold Cup and Saucer is so popular every year and remains to do so.
I've seen before we leave, I'll just mention the crowd in that race was ridiculous. Like that's just people. That's just a sea of people in that crowd. Yeah. It's I'll definitely check it out. I mean, I was gonna go this year, but again, with the situation with COVID, we're gonna wait it off for another year. But definitely, hopefully next year, get to go and check it out because I'm a big fan of the idea.
Depending on work and everything, I'm going to try to maybe sneak over this weekend for Friday and Saturday, and if I do, I'll wave to you from the crowd, Scott, if I can get in.
Yeah, definitely. We have a couple of guys over Saturday night. We're gonna have some drinks, watch it, make some bets. The guys don't know anything about horse racing, but they're starting to, they're really starting to like it. I'm starting to bring guys down to EPR, buddies of mine. They're like, hey, let's check it out, and they like the idea of it. So. Maybe it might be onto something. So, with that being said, that's basically it. The end of the podcast. I want to thank you, Russell, for coming on. I want to thank everybody for watching. I want to say something quickly at the end. Thank you for the feedback for the first one. We were kind of on the fence. Didn't know people would like it. We got a lot of good feedback. It's something we will definitely continue to do as time goes on. So we definitely appreciate everybody watching. And that's pretty much it. And you want to say anything else, Russell, before we go?
No, absolutely. I want to thank all the people that have supplied these videos again and these pictures. Jerry McCabe, Scott Green, Mike Ellsworth, and whoever else we missed. And if I've made some mistakes, which I may have, please feel free to comment. As Scott said, it's the feedback that allows us to think that maybe we'll try and come up with another subject. So
definitely. And again, I also want to thank Jerry McCabe and Mike Ellsworth and Scott Green. Anyone that supplied stuff, as I said earlier, very much appreciate it, and we really do appreciate that. So with that being said, that is it for this episode. I hope everyone enjoys, and we will see you again in the future.
Just watch it, live it at Exhibition Park. Come on and live it at Exhibition Park. The real life fun.